Is there a wreath form that I have a hard time using decoupage on? Yes, there is. And it's this one. It is this leaf wreath form from the Dollar Tree. The edging is very detailed and beautiful. And the minute you put decoupage on it, I think you're going to lose that gorgeousness of this wreath unless you wrap it somehow. But because of the shape, it's kind of complicated to wrap it also, right? So I thought, you know what? Let's just give it a try. Let's see what we can make. If you need more ideas than today's video how to decorate this wreath form, I made 3 of these last year. So I'll include that video link in the description box. Now, let's get started. To start on this wreath form, I'm going to be using some fall fabric from Crafter's Square. I'm going to start hot gluing my wreath form to the back side of my fabric. As you can see, that's the front side, and here is the back side. And just putting some hot glue on. I'm going to just press it against my fabric. And this is the nicest way to make sure that everything is smooth. Press and hold. Now I'm just hot gluing the vines. And as I'm doing that, I'm making sure that they're nice and kind of pulled taut, so it's nice and smooth. Now that my vines are hot glued, I'm going to go around and cut a little bit shorter, maybe ½ an inch to the edge. Start making little slits, hot gluing onto the edge only. Don't go too far because this is going to be the pretty part that's going to show. Putting the hot glue straight on my actual wreath form, and then I'm bringing in those edges. If you have one of these tiny scissors, these are great. And every inch or two make slits so we can fold everything over. I also recommend using one of these finger protectors while you're doing this. Next, I'm going to grab some puffy yarn, and I've made 2 things with it already. I made a little centerpiece with it. I made a pumpkin wreath with it. I'll include that in the description box because this yarn goes a long way. Taking the puffy yarn, I'm going to first do the spine of my leaf. I basically did the center part, and now I'm just going to do the sides. I'm just going to tuck it very, very close to this so it kind of blends in. Now I'm going to go all around the leaf, starting right here. I'm all done outlining it, and look how seamless the puffy yarn made this wreath. I absolutely love the way it turned out. So now I'm going to turn it around and let's find a way to hang it. I'm just going to put some hot glue right here and hot glue a piece of jute cord on one side and some on the other. If you were to sell this, just grab a piece of felt and hot glue the piece of felt to the edges and cut off the excess. Because if you're selling this, you want to cover this part up. And then the same thing on top of that, just put in a piece of jute cord. While that's cooling into place, we're going to make a bow. I'm grabbing this 2½ inch ribbon. This one I got at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to make a simple bow. So I'm going to just loop it and loop it again. And my goal is to make this kind of small because I do want this to be a very elegant and dainty bow. Now that I have my center, I'm going to do just a little dot of glue and I'm going to press it together. Next, I'm going to take a yellow grosgrain ribbon. Let's measure. And I don't want this bow to be too big. Hot glue it. And of course, I'm going to hot glue it to the center right here. Next, I'm going to just squeeze the center and accordion style collect it together. And I have a little piece of pipe cleaner. Bring the bow together. Now I'm just straightening everything out so you can actually see what's happening. Now that my bow is together, I'm going to grab a piece of this ribbon. And don't you just love it when you're using leftover ribbon and you use it to the end. Here in the back, I think I'm just going to roll this one once and then just kind of roll because I want this to be a little bit on the thin side. So let's just put more hot glue. That right there. So that's the back. Hot glue where I'm attaching it. Just like that. And now I'm going to bring these tails back and hot glue them in the back. I'm going to cut my tails on an angle. And now I'm just going to attach my bow right here on our little leaf wreath. To get started on this leaf wreath, I'm going to be using some pink felt, and this is a 12 by 18 piece I got on Amazon. I'll leave you a link in the description box. And of course, you can choose whatever color you would like for this. Just angle it, make sure that you have something to pick up on the sides and fold them back. And then I'm just going to start hot gluing this center. Now I'm just going to do the sides. I'm done with the sides, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a jute cord, and I recommend doing this before you start hot gluing. Just to show you how I put that on, it went underneath this side, then it went on top right here, and then underneath. And now I'm just going to do a few knots, and we have a way to hang our wreath. Now I'm just sealing the sides where my jute cord came through. And I'm going to start cutting around my wreath form no more than a ½ an inch away from the edge. Next, it's time to hot glue the edges, but in order to do that, I'm going to grab these tiny scissors and make slits about every inch, depending on where we are. And then all I'm going to do is just hot glue right on top of the wreath form. Now it's time to decorate our leaf. As you can see, you can't see the vines on here, but you know what? That's okay. It's supposed to be a leaf. I don't mind that at all. So we are going to glam this up a little bit, and I'm going to start with some amaranthus, then this glitter branch. This is from Christmas, and then this beautiful dahlia. It's an ivory color that matches this, and then it has a little bit of gold on it, which is why I'm bringing this in. And of course, you can do any combination for these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 branches from each, and then half a branch, and this one I'm going to cut halfway, and then 3 I'm just going to take off of the stem. I'm not going to be using full length of these, but I do want to lay them out. So the middle one is going to be the longest, then these guys are going to be a little bit on the shorter side, and then the glam is going to do the same thing. We're going to have the longest in the middle, and this one does have a wire on the inside. As far as our little dahlia, I'm going to remove the little clip, and the first thing I want to do is I want to hot glue around the edge. This is what's going to seal my dahlia in place to make sure the flower itself does not come apart. And as that's cooling, I'm going to start cutting here. And I'm going to hot glue these in place. Hot glue on the tip so it stays in place because I want it bent just a little bit. I'm making sure that my amaranthus is hot glued really well because the tip of my dahlia is going to go in between the little amaranthus. Let me hold it in place until it cools. And I'm going to add some hot glue underneath. I decided this side needs just a little bit more sparkle. As I'm looking at this, I decided to add more of the amaranthus. Let's see if I can use up the ones that I cut off and just kind of shave them down. I'm glad I added the additional amaranthus. I think they made a big difference. I think this leaf wreath turned out very glam, very beautiful, and a little bit elegant. For this wreath, I'm using some yarn left over from previous projects. I got this one at the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is on the vines right here, I'm going to just wrap it around and hot glue it to the edges. Starting at the bottom, the diameter of this yarn is about a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go this way, then I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to go this way. That way you have less seams, and that way. From time to time, give it a little bit of hot glue. Just hot glued it in place. Now that the inside is all done, I'm grabbing more of my twine, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tying it around the edges. And I'm just going to do one little tie just like this, and cut off the excess. So mine is about 1 inch long. I think it's going to give the edging a little bit of a shabby look, and I think it's going to turn out super cute. I know it looks a little messy right now, but when this wreath is all done, it's going to look lovely, and the edging is just going to be really pretty and fluffy. I'm having so much fun doing this. And by the way, this wreath, especially this edging, was inspired by my friend Catherine from A Perfect Place to Start. She just did a pumpkin where she used a similar method, and it turned out so adorable. I got inspired to do one, and I'm doing it a little different. The way she tied is different, but it is just super cute. So I'll leave her video on her channel in the description box. Check her out. She does some beautiful, beautiful DIYs. As for me right now, I'm just going to repeat this process going all the way around. I decided to decorate it a little bit in a vintage style. I have this vintage lace. I bought this one at Joann's, and I'm going to do a simple bow. Then on top of that, I'm going to use this bow from the Dollar Tree, and it has little cotton pieces on there. And then for the center of the bow, I'm just going to use a little cotton pod. Most of these pods come with a little wire, and I'm going to use this to bring the bow together. I'm just pulling it apart. I'm not going to go any further because this is what we're going to catch our ribbon with. I'm going to start with my vintage lace, lay it down, and then I'm going to make an awareness ribbon, just like that. And the loop on here, it needs to be double the size of our actual loops, because what I'm going to do is just bring it down like that. As you saw, awareness ribbon, and then I just find the center and bring it forward. And I'm going to keep it just like it is. Now my cotton ribbon, just like that. Awareness ribbon. Let me measure the center and bring it back. There you go. And I have my bow. So one on top of the other. Once I have my bows, I'm just going to take my little cotton pod and wrap the little wires in the back. Give it a few twists. And all I'm doing is taking that wire and I'm going to attach it in the back. And you know what? Our wire is so long that I'm going to actually bring it back, and I'm going to make a little hanging loop with it. Why not? Tying it, and now I'm going to tie that tail back. There you go. And I made a little knot with it. We really did everything in one swoop. I'm going to cut my little endings on an angle, and that is it for the sweet little leaf wreath. What did you think of the wreaths, you guys? Let me know in the description box below which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And don't forget, if you want more ideas, there's a video link in the description box for 3 more of these wreaths that I made last year. If you're new to this channel and are not subscribed, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell and the thumbs up button so this video grows and my channel. Thank you so much for being with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye, my sweet friends. Mwah.